Dean wasn't just a mechanic. He was a fiberglass whisperer. He ran a small, specialized shop in rural Mississippi dedicated exclusively to restoring vintage Corvettes. His latest acquisition was an insurer's write-off, a 1963 Stingray that vanished decades ago during a catastrophic flood in the Louisiana bayou. The car was found encased in layers of dried silt and mud, pulled from a collapsing boathouse foundation. The car was a legend, a 1963 split-window coupe, one of the most sought-after American classics, due to its unique, single-year rear window design. Even as a wreck, its value was astronomical. But its condition was horrifying. The fiberglass body, the very soul of the C2, was severely compromised, warped by years of shifting mud and saturated with acidic swamp water. The steel frame was heavily corroded. Dean used a high-pressure, deionized water system to spend 2 weeks simply cleaning the car. The process revealed the magnitude of the damage. The entire driver's side was crushed from the boathouse collapse, and the structural integrity of the birdcage, the internal steel safety structure, was compromised. Restoring the fiberglass body without factory jigs was an act of extreme faith. The factory standard for fiberglass panel alignment was tight. The damage here was measured in inches of misalignment, not millimeters. The greatest challenge was the fuel-injected 327 V8 engine. The rare Fuelie engine, a high-performance masterpiece, had been submerged in corrosive water. To save it, Dean had to immediately begin a meticulous, total disassembly and chemical neutralization process before rust could seize the pistons and bearings. Dean had risked his shop's entire operating capital on this salvage. He knew the restoration would require him to transcend his craft, combining historical preservation with extreme structural engineering. He was not just fixing a car. He was saving a defining piece of American automotive history that the factory itself would have declared unsalvageable. Stop right there. Dean just salvaged a 1963 Corvette split-window Stingray from a swamp. The value is incalculable, but the fiberglass is destroyed, and the Fuelie engine is submerged. This restoration is an engineering miracle. Hit that subscribe button now, and give this video a like. We want to hear that legendary V8 roar again. Comment below. What original color should this Corvette be restored to? Let the resurrection begin. With the initial cleanup complete, the restoration focused on the backbone, the birdcage structure. This internal steel frame is essential for the C2's rigidity and is notoriously difficult to repair. The corrosive swamp environment had turned sections of the frame into Swiss cheese. Dean sourced period-correct, high-strength steel tubing, and began the brutal process of cutting out the rusted sections. He then spent 3 agonizing weeks custom fabricating and welding in replacement sections, using original factory drawings to maintain the exact structural geometry. The challenge was maintaining precision across the entire frame, ensuring the fiberglass body, which relies entirely on the birdcage for alignment, would fit perfectly once repaired. The true art began with the fiberglass bodywork. The crushed driver's side required Dean to become a sculptor. He could not use aftermarket panels. The original fiberglass has a unique, irreplaceable resin composition. Dean focused on salvaging every original shard. He used heat guns and specialized jigs to slowly and painstakingly unwarp the massive rear deck section and the iconic split-window roof panel. The process involved creating custom molds directly on the good side of the car, then using those molds as jigs to reshape the damaged side. He bonded the original pieces back together using epoxy resin chemically matched to the 1963 formula, ensuring the body would age and cure identically across all sections. This was restoration at the molecular level, preserving the authenticity that defines the car's multi-million-dollar value. Simultaneously, the engine work was critical. The fuel-injected 327 V8 was carefully neutralized, stripped, and machined. Dean found severe pitting corrosion on the cylinder walls and crankshaft journals. Instead of simple replacement, he elected for a specialized plasma coating treatment on the journals, allowing them to be polished back to factory tolerance while preserving the original cast iron block. The complex Rochester fuel injection unit, the heart of the engine's rarity, was entirely disassembled, cleaned, and recalibrated by hand, its microscopic internals cleared of corrosive silt. The engine was saved, but the sheer cost of the specialized labor was staggering. With the structure sound and the body repaired, the restoration turned inward to the interior and electrical systems. The cabin was a disaster: mold, mildew, and rusted components. The original leather and vinyl, saturated with swamp water, was unsalvageable. Dean tracked down rare, period-correct saddle-tan vinyl and leather hides, commissioning a master upholsterer to recreate the seats and door panels with absolute fidelity to the 1963 stitching patterns. The focus here was capturing the feel of the era, the sharp, clean lines of the original C2. The electrical system was the most treacherous part of the entire restoration. The original wiring harness, made with early plastic insulation, had degraded and fused due to the submersion. This was a fire risk and a complete functional failure. Dean realized that splicing the old harness was impossible. He sourced over 20 rolls of color-coded, period-correct wire and began the monumental task of hand-building a new wiring harness from the firewall to the taillights. This process required hundreds of hours of painstaking work, charting the entire electrical system using factory schematics, cutting thousands of individual wires to precise lengths, and soldering new terminals onto every single connection point. One single mistake could short the entire system. This wasn't standard repair. It was an act of obsessive electrical architecture, ensuring that every light, every gauge, and every relay worked exactly as it did on the factory floor in 1963. The final touch on the bodywork was the paint. After weeks of meticulous block sanding to ensure the repaired fiberglass panels were perfectly smooth, the car was coated in its original correct color, Riverside Red, a deep, complex hue that brought the legendary Sting Ray shape back to life, highlighting the aggressive center spine and the unique divided rear window. The moment of truth arrived: the engine start and final road test. After the painstaking restoration of the fuel injection unit, the V8 was timed, fueled, and primed. Dean turned the key. The legendary Fuelie V8 roared to life with a crisp, aggressive idle, a sound that was pure 1963 power, a testament to the skill used to save the original block. The car was submitted for final authentication and appraisal. Experts were astonished. The structural repair of the birdcage, the undetectable restoration of the crushed fiberglass, and the perfect fidelity of the electrical system made this car an instant legend among restorers. The Corvette wasn't just as good as new. It was a mechanical statement of defiance against obsolescence. The original damage was so severe that its full restoration was deemed impossible. Until Dean did it. The final appraised value of the restored, numbers matching 1963 split window, reached an incredible $2.5 million USD. Dean sold the car to a private collector who promised to drive and show the car, honoring its resilience. The profit, after deducting the immense costs of specialized parts and labor, totaling well over $700,000 US, was substantial. More importantly, the restoration earned Dean global acclaim. He used the funds to expand his shop and establish the C2 Preservation Institute, dedicated to teaching the complex art of structural fiberglass repair. The Stingray had not just been saved, it had secured the legacy of Dean's craft. He kept one small memento, a single, corroded badge from the rear deck, a silent reminder of the swamp and the impossible task he conquered. The story of the Stingray proves that legends don't die in the swamp. They merely wait for the right artisan to bring them back to life. For Dean, the restorer, the ultimate prize wasn't the money, but the proof that 1963 American engineering is stronger than nature. If you want to uncover more stories of impossible restorations and cars that came back from the dead, make sure you hit that subscribe button now and join us for the next miracle.